Okay, AI catalog. I wanted to give a very quick overview of what we've built so far so you can see what will happen when we get the workflow connection. There's a couple of bits still missing that have been worked on in 18.4 still, and there's a bunch more stuff in the back end than we currently have a UI for. But I'll go over at high level. If there's any questions you have, I can show more detail on any of these things. Just let me know. So this is running locally on my GDK, but this is the explore page. This is the AI catalog at the explore level. So this is the main entry point for the catalog, right? This is where all of the agents, all of the flows will exist that are shared by everyone and on the instance. This is empty currently because, as I said, this is on my local machine, but we can go ahead and create a new agent here. Every agent, every flow needs to be tied to a project. This is not the project that it can run on. This is the project that gives the permissions to edit it. I'm wording that terribly, but essentially, to give an example, we might have a GitLab specific project that creates GitLab official agents and flows. We would select that project for this, and then later on, anyone who wants to add their agents or flows to their project can just go to the catalog and say, okay, give me this GitLab official agent, give me this GitLab official flow. We're looking at forking, we're looking at all sorts of different things, but this is the idea, right? You've got two different attachments, the project that you edit it on and the project or projects that you would execute these agents on. So you can give it things like a name, description, which tells you what the agent does. You can select a bunch of tools. These are pulled through from the workflow service. So you might want one that can read a file and then get an issue and then, I don't know, create an issue note. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to go into what you can and can't do with these. Anything you can do with an agent, you can do with this. This tools thing needs a bit more work. So, for example, if you want to give it the ability to, run a command, you might want to say specifically what commands you want it to run. This is fairly rudimentary. This is something we might want to expand on, but it works. You then give it a system prompt. So this will be what you want the agent to do, what the communication style is. This is the standard prompt engineering input, right? So you are whatever, you will be given whatever, do this, right? The user prompt, this is the user input essentially. So if we go back to the example where this reads a file, gets an issue, creates an issue note, this is where you would add in the things like this is the issue I want you to have, this is the file I want you to read. Or if we're enabling these agents in chat, this user prompt would be replaced with whatever the user types into the chat. This is required, so whatever. We're adding this at the creation stage so that you can provide default instructions. They'll be overridden when the user interacts with these agents, but we've added it so we have a default. That might be something we want to change. Then we have visibility levels. So this can be private or public. If it's private, only the people who are in this project can see it. If it's public, then it gets added to the catalog that anyone can see and use. The copy on this might need a little bit of work. We'll get there. So we go create this agent. You see we've got the name, the system prompt, the user prompt, all of the details that we've added here. It's got the tools that we've added. The UI is a little rudimentary for some parts. Again, this is an experiment. We just want to make sure that what we're building makes sense. I'll add in actually some more typical agent descriptions so you can kind of see what this would look like with this is what it might look like with certain agents on in a bit more. They're still mocks, but like they're a bit closer to what you would actually want from an agent, right? So this is a code refactoring agent that looks for these code smells. It does this refactoring process. These are dummy ones that AI has generated, so they're not very good, but like they kind of show what this would look like with multiple agents, right? The other part to this, actually, before I move on to flows, I'll show you what you can't do. So we have edit, we have delete, so you can do these. And we have this test run, so you would run the validator supreme agent and just test it with some user inputs. This is something, again, this might be like read issue 1234, or if you have an agent that reads docs for you, this could be the question that says, how do I do this thing, right? Then you would go and run that, and this is when it would return a session ID and then show you that session running. However, because we don't have the connection, we just we do send this data to the AI catalog agent execute, and we pass along the agent ID, but then we can't do anything because we don't have access to Duo Workflow. We're actually getting this because I don't have Duo Workflow set up locally, but because we don't have that connection, we'll get something similar in production right now. Okay, so flows. This is what I was trying to talk about in the meeting, where we have a basic editor. That's not the description, that's the name. But yeah, you you get the idea. So we're kind of halfway between the node editor that we want to build and the just writing this as code. So we've got like a really rudimentary flow nodes that run sequentially. So you would say, the security guardian agent would then go to the code architect, which would then pass down their output to the quality guardian or whatever, right? Like, obviously this makes no sense because it's all dummy data, but essentially you would have an input that starts this whole thing off that would then get passed to the security guardian, then the security guardian's output would get sent to the code architect, their output would get sent to the quality guardian. So if you had like, let's take the issue to MR flow, you might have a agent that can read and understand an issue and find all of the implementation details, and then they would send that to an agent that's really good at writing code, which would then send it to an agent that can create that MR and add a comment to say what it's done. Like that's an example, right? There's all sorts of different ones that you could do. We want to eventually be able to add branching and looping and all of the other cool things that you get with flows, but this will prove the concept. It'll be a good experiment, right? Once you have created these flows, what you can do is you'll probably be able to test these as well. But in order to execute them, you need to add them to a project or group so it knows where to execute them. Again, we added it to a project, but this was for editing purposes. So this is for us creating and editing agents. Flows. You want to keep that separate to the people being able to run them, right? So if I go onto a project, this is the AI catalog project. You see we've got no flows right now. We can explore the AI catalog flows. This takes us over to the AI catalog, and then we can add it to our project or group. This is one of the things that's currently being worked on. This will be a project selector like the previous one. I happen to know this is project 23, so I add it, and then we have it here in flows. And then you can execute that flow. You can eventually set up triggers for that flow. You can do all of the things as well. I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning, but flows and agents are the same thing under the hood. So they share a lot of functionality. So being able to add flows, being able to add agents, being able to, there's a lot of things that you can do with one that you can do with the other. I did mention there's a lot of things in the back end currently that we don't have in the UI. I won't go into too much detail about this because this is more of a high level overview of what you will be able to do as a user. You won't be able to do this, the back end things as a user because there'll be no UI for it. But we have a bunch of things in for help with governance, right? So you can release specific versions of things. There's a whole versioning and version history model built in. You can, when you create a flow, you can pin specific versions of agents. So you can say, I only want version 2 of an agent. I don't want any more releases until I've vetted them. And it will always give you version 2 of that agent in that flow. There's a bunch of things you can do with that. But as I said, like, if you ask me questions and I can go into more detail about this, I've recorded some other videos on that, which I can share. They are up on YouTube. And there's a bunch of things in the merge requests currently of improvements that we're making. But that's where we are at high level. Again, if you have any questions, let me know and I'll go into more detail on things.